Woo! Woo!
Sound test.
Alrighty. World of Warcraft.
Not World of Warcraft, Warcraft.
Warcraft. Two different games.
Right.
Alright.
Nerd.
Warcraft.
So I don't know.
Take two. The movie. Alright, so here we are. We're going to be doing the Warcraft movie review. We just saw it last night.
IMAX 3D.
So,
Incredible.
my name is Attritionade. I'm the host of the channel. This here's Trent. This here's Frankie. This
I'm
here's Chris. Alright? So, Trent, he plays the game. He's not that into the lore. He doesn't know too much about the lore. I think it's kind of the same story with Chris. I think Chris might know a little bit more.
He knows. He knows.
I'm
much
a
more.
moderate lore. You can ask me a question, I can answer it.
And then you got Frankie, who knows all about the lore. Like, he knows the most out of all of us here, at least. He is into this shit.
I am not novel, but I do know some shit.
And then you got me, who I've never played the games, don't know shit about the lore, so I was going from that perspective. All right? So, without further ado, let's get started.
You said doo-doo.
All right, so how do we want to start this?
I think the most important thing is spoilers or no spoilers.
We're gonna go ahead and do spoilers.
Okay.
There's enough no spoilers out there. And
You heard that.
most people already know about the lore before they saw the movie anyway.
Yeah.
So-
if you played the first game, you're probably gonna know what's going on. Of course.
If you paid really any attention in WoW, in vanilla WoW, you'll know what's going on.
So yeah, let's start with that. Did the movie deviate from the game lore, or how much did it, if so?
It did a little bit. For instance, when King Lane was killed, that just wasn't how that happened. King Lane was assassinated and straight up murdered by Garona when she was under the effects of a mind control spell from Gul'dan.
Okay.
He wasn't just killed because it would bring peace to the orcs and humans. But as far as like some horrible infidelity to the game's lore that just is completely unforgivable, not really.
All right.
Adaptation for movie's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much stayed pretty closely to adhered pretty closely to the lore. All right,
Pretty
cool.
close. It was definitely close. I want to say that any of the major changes for adaptation's sake, yes, it was good adaptation. It wasn't like done in a really untasteful way. It was done, executed just well. I think it was really well done in that part. There's some changes I feel like in terms of lore. They cut.
Probably for me. Hold on.
From this experience of never having played the game, don't know anything about the lore, I think it was a great movie. It was exactly what I expected, and I guess a little bit better actually. What do you guys think about that?
No, I thought it was good, especially from playing WoW itself. I don't know much about the lore, like I said, but hearing names that I've actually played with, like alongside of, was definitely good. And then like you said, the overall, like the way it was all done, like the quality was just great. All the fight scenes. The fight scenes were amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All
definitely.
of them. Just so much power and just
The
all of
action.
it.
Could
The
feel
action
every
in that
single
game
blow
was
that
great.
was made. Everything kind of hit those. I guess I'm gonna use making par on almost every front, like the animation done, par and above. The acting I feel was for some. I think that's where it was kind of like deviating for me because it was really good. Like the overall acting was great. I think what's his name, Lothar, Travis Fimmel, the actor. I think his acting was maybe a bar above, if not a little bit different. Like his acting was so into his character that I feel like other people didn't believe their characters as much, and I didn't believe them as much as I did believe him. I believed the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I did too. But maybe his wife and even Garona a little bit, like how his interactions with him made everyone else seem a little bit out of their world or whatever. Just didn't feel like they fit with him there. But when they interacted with the King and Garona, I believe that. But with Garona and Lothar and Medivh, fell a little bit off. Not his issue. I feel like everyone needed to bump up their acting to his to make it feel like we're in Warcraft.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
I can see it. I don't think it was too bad though. Like I think everybody, all of the acting in general was good enough to keep me, what's the word?
Occupied.
Engrossed. Invested?
No.
Okay.
Immersed.
Immersed.
Okay, there we go.
Definitely. No, I was totally in it to the point I didn't feel the pain in my eyes. Like I was so into it.
Yeah.
Personally, I like Ben Foster a little bit more as Medivh, just because the characters.
Ben Foster. He's the guy playing Medivh?
Yes.
Or, okay, I don't know. I don't know all the names. I know Travis Fimmel.
I only know Ben Foster.
I don't know any of the actors' names, I don't know any of the characters' names. I don't know none of that shit.
Medivh was the Guardian.
I'm gonna be referring to characters like the guy with the sword,
The Guardian.
The
Which
armor.
one? There's like 50 of them. The
And
young mage, the guy.
the one orc with the tooth that had the earrings on it, like that guy. He was
All of
full-
them?
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, but his other tooth was broken.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Started tusk, right? Yeah.
Duratad.
Yeah, there you go. That guy, for sure. I think. That's what, yeah. Okay. So
How do you know that from the explanation?
I told you this guy into this shit. How do we feel about the story? All right, let's go down the list here. How do we feel about the story? I think it was good. It was a good story altogether. The pacing was a little bit choppy, but it was coherent. You know, there were times where I felt, especially in the beginning, I felt like it was going really slow, and I was like, oh, is the whole movie going to be like this? But then it picked up, and it started going too fast at points.
Mhm.
But still, they gave just enough information for me to be able to follow along, understand what was going on, not get bored. So, yeah, all in all, the story, the pacing was good. The story itself was good from like a writing standpoint. I guess this is something that has already been done in the games. So I guess from a writing standpoint, I don't know how difficult it would have been to make this movie. I guess picking and pulling the parts that they wanted to include in.
I feel like they were trying to fit a whole crap ton of characters while at the same time giving off the idea that this is like barely scratching the surface of everything that's in this world, and that's why it felt a bit choppy and like, because they're going, this character does this and they're named this. No, wait a minute, this character does this and now they're doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to like to get that point across before like giving my full opinion. Is that like going into this movie, I understand that it's just it's non-canon. It's going to be just a fun romp of what we experience in the games or whatever to a degree. So I really hope that like everyone, not just us, but like people out there watching this, like go into it that it's just because this movie is like not to the T in terms of your lore or maybe how the magic in the world works or just the like the rules of the world work. Don't let that affect you because remember it is a movie and it's made those small changes that even I think Blizzard will be okay with. So magic felt a little bit different. It doesn't in Warcraft, but it still felt exactly the same to a degree. And I want to point that out is that the fell magic.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of made it feel like the fell magic and how in Warcraft there's like fell, but there's also like shadow and dark magics. They kind of felt like they mixed those together. I wasn't sure how I felt about that because they did say shadow and light, light and shadow, but in Warcraft those are very distinct polar opposites, and fell is not necessarily related to them, but in the movie they kind of felt that they were.
My impression from it was just that there was the blue magic, that was the good magic, and then there was the green magic, that was the bad magic.
And that right there was a mainstream movie adaptation. I feel like it was.
Right.
You can obviously tell from being a Warcraft fan where they did those shavings or roundness off of lore.
Okay.
And obviously there's a whole bunch of different types of magic than just fell and not fell.
Oh yeah, many schools of magic and stuff like that, where you can obviously tell that they didn't dumb it down enough. That I'm so glad that they didn't dumb it down to the degree that they just said it's just magic and that's it. I'm so glad they didn't do that route. They hit the points enough to where that's a Warcraft movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is super high fantasy, definitely good.
So how'd you guys feel about like the directing, like the camera work and camera play? How'd you guys feel about that? I know I like the scope of it. How
Me too, definitely.
how they were able to show the difference, this like just the sheer size difference from the characters and then like the scale of the environment behind them. They did a really good job. With like the first time you see the gate, like that thing was huge. Like I got the sense that it was humongous. And then even after that, some of the environments, you got like the forest and then the mountain behind them, and then the soldiers that are in front of the forest, and they showed all of that, and it was just a very, very large scale environment that they were showing. And
I
was
definitely
cool.
loved the
It was cool
shots
to
that they
see.
took. They
Yeah.
definitely felt that we were watching almost screenshots of the game to a degree. It really felt like we got to see Ironforge almost directly, and Ironforge was the dwarf area in the beginning.
Yeah.
You saw the snow and then or whatever, and then you saw the inside was all awesome. It was very, very awesome, very snowy, and then very molten on the inside. I loved that contrast in terms of the art.
There's a good, nice reference to the old Vanilla WoW cinematic with the dwarf on the mountain overlooking Ironforge.
It was almost a shot for shot.
Speaking of which,
angles, but
the dwarves were my favorite characters. Like I the way they
how they were portrayed.
animated those. Were they animated? Were they CG?
I'm not
they were
sure.
definitely-
Or were they
Yeah.
some
They were
combination?
definitely
I think they were a combination. They pretty much did it the way they made Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Okay, because they did a good job. They did a good job on the dwarves. I think that's one of my favorite depictions of dwarves that I've seen in anything.
They
So
look
that's-
excellent. And I still want to know who those dwarves that Lothar was talking to were. I want to say they were like Magni and the Bronzebeard brothers.
Definitely Bronzebeard related, I want to say, because it's a very prominent name in dwarf, and you know the dwarven lore or whatever. So I want to say that they're definitely related. But I couldn't really tell you. I'm not very savant, or I'm not savant in the dwarf lore for some reason.
Okay.
I'm just like I'm more horde, so I delve more into the stuff that happens there. But for some reason, I've noticed that a lot of dwarves have been the center of a lot of events. Like they have,
Yeah, they have.
but I feel like.
Especially in Cataclysm.
But they're not like like they have heroes, but I feel like they haven't put into a big enough spotlight in terms of heroes, so I don't follow them as much. And
That's
not
true.
that's not anybody's fault, but my own really. But I guess I just don't want to learn as much as I want to about other races. I love the elves in terms of just the magical lore about it, so I like them more a bit.
Lothar Ogar.
The environment. It was definitely a fantasy environment. It felt good. I love fantasy stuff, and I felt at home in that environment that they showed us. You could just tell that it was a magical place. And it was in a sense, a land far, far away, but in a different way than Star Wars.
To me, I was about to say, I was literally about to say that this, as I was watching the movie, that kind of Lord of the Rings took a seat back in terms of the equivalent of what Star Wars is, like the polar opposite or whatever. Like instead of having a very high sci-fi, sci-fantasy or whatever experience, I want a super high, just high fantasy.
Yeah.
Instead of a space opera, I want a high fantasy opera. But just anybody, because there's a good entry point. If you are someone that doesn't know Warcraft, is a good entry point, and I feel like to me this entry point can be a good series of a new Star Wars for me, a new space opera, but not space opera.
Yeah, if they continue on with it, this is definitely, and the movie got me intrigued. It kind of has me asking the right questions about the game. Like I kind of want to know now. I'm kind of interested in the game. I think this is a movie that will bring some people to the game.
I feel like the game takes its serious high fantasy, or it's serious high fantasy in a comic way, and I feel like the movie did a good job. So you may have gotten some of that. They could have. Did you understand? Like, there's like a bunch of like inside jokes or just jokes in. In Warcraft, I feel like they could have shoved those in there a bit more.
I think they
but
could
you
have.
got a good idea just by watching the movie of what Warcraft is.
I think they could have, but I think it's nice what we got. There was of course the reference to the Murloc near the beginning of the movie, and they flat out played the sound clip of the Murloc gurgling noise, and the reference to the polymorph spell with the sheep.
That was awesome.
That was very awesome.
It only lasts a minute.
It only lasted a minute. I was
That would
clapping.
be my second favorite part of the movie. I'll talk about my first favorite part in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was good.
I couldn't even think about a favorite part because I think either you or him asked me what my favorite part was, and I couldn't. Like, maybe I have to watch it again to narrow that point down, but I was just so happy with so many parts, like just sections. It was just really good. I was happy with most of the scenes.
All right, let me explain my favorite part. All right, I'm gonna need your help on this.
All right.
Okay, so the good orc, with
Durtan.
yeah, that guy, when he fought the wizard orc,
Gul'dan.
that guy. So when they first start duking it out, that was my favorite part because I felt like I was watching like a pay-per-view.
I think you might have narrowed it down for me. Thank you. Thank you for rerunning.
I feel like I was watching like a pay-per-view boxing fight. Like they were going at it, and that's another thing. The effects, the sounds, I don't know if it was just that theater or if that's just.
It was IMAX.
It was
yeah, we
still
were in
definitely
IMAX,
IMAX.
but like
well.
they were hitting each other. Like I was feeling that. Like they
I
were
felt the
just,
teeth in the metal
I'm
hit.
just like, oh, they are going at it.
There was a scene where Ogren, like the guy with that big hammer, he just backed him. He's like, what?
Oh yeah.
Shattered the orc into
When he-
pieces,
yeah.
basically.
It was amazing. There's an orc chasing after Draka when she's running away with
Something
Baby
hits
Thrall.
an orc
Yeah,
in this
it's all
movie,
the
it shatters. If an orc hits another orc, or an orc hits anything else, it shatters.
It's
It looks like it
amazing
shatters. It
sound.
sounds like
You
it shatters.
definitely get that sense of how powerful the orcs are. Like those dudes are strong.
Her hands
The
were like
audio
as big as a
overall was
head.
good. The audio, like from that, and the audio for the music, the environment, everything was good. It was just
Yeah,
audio
It
was
really
good.
was.
it was good. It definitely was.
I feel like we're praising this movie too much. We're not giving enough criticisms where it's due, but I think that's where it comes later.
Yeah,
I think
no,
my-
It's always coming.
there are pros and cons in my opinion to the movie, but I do think the pros outweigh the cons.
I think my favorite part in the movie was when, as Draka starts sending Baby Thrall down the river, and she leaps towards that other orc, because I was kind of wondering if they were going to show how fearsome the female orcs could be, because they were
Oh,
not.
She's just like,
Yeah,
And
There was
oh,
no such thing as chivalry
she
in that.
literally mauled him. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
She snarls, she
So
barks
she-
at him, and then
Did
leaps
she-
on his
how'd she
face.
die? Because I saw that he was holding a knife,
because
and I
he
assumed
got stabbed when she jumped.
Okay,
in.
I thought so.
Well, she got stabbed.
That's
when
what I
she
assumed. I
jumped in.
didn't see anything there. Maybe I was focusing on her face, but like I couldn't tell how
Yeah,
she
he
died.
had his
I
sword
assumed that's
out,
what it
and
was.
she just didn't give a shit.
She pulled it out, yeah. She like took it out or something.
I think I was focusing on her face. I just didn't care about.
I
what
was
happened.
too, and then like looked down for a
Because
second.
I wanted
like,
to see if she had gore in her mouth.
fuck.
I wanted to see how much gore she had in her mouth. I saw that she was biting him. Like she just killed an orc by biting him.
Hell yes. This wolf still has teeth.
This wolf still has teeth.
The magic. I like the magic in it. I feel like I would have liked to have seen more magic. The magic I did see, it was great, but there was just kind of a lot of hold this guy down.
It was
or-
always the same
yeah,
few spells.
Kind of was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would
Except
have
for,
liked
like,
some
where's
more
the-
variety of magic.
The lightning down from the sky to create the walls.
Yeah.
And
I would be pulled out if they sat there explaining every little facet of how magic worked, and if there were. I would have loved it for like you just nerdgasm fan like lore stuff. I'm getting a lore dump. It was awesome, but it didn't do that. And I'm glad because I think some people, some movies and shows over explain things. And you just waste too much time on something that is probably not going to touch on. And I think that's where mixing some magics together or mixing some lore stuff together that are just all mainstream because they might even touch on it later on.
I wish we could have seen some shamanistic magic, because that was one of the biggest things about the orcs, is that the movie kind of portrays them as they primarily focus around warlocks
Right.
and the Fel, but in reality the orcs of Draenor were tribal shamans.
Yeah.
They had shamans which were the spiritual leaders of their people, and even in the movie they kind of refer to Khadgar as the human warlock, as if, you know, he's a warlock and they have warlocks, even though they were supposed to have shamans and they just got corrupted into warlocks. But lore
I
thing.
feel like they didn't. I feel like they didn't explain the demon enough.
Yeah,
like
they
that
definitely
demon came out of nowhere. He died real quick, and I was just like, "What?" And then it moved on, and I was.
Oh, which demon you mean?
The-
Medivh or
whenever he turns into when he gets repossessed, like when he turns
Yeah, like
into
when he
the thing.
Okay.
when he turns into the
Horned
demon.
beast
like the
thing.
like the full on.
Like I don't know if they dropped hints about the demon. I knew that he was being corrupted, but I didn't know what that meant.
Mhm.
And then he finally got fully corrupted and turned into a demon. And I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't see that coming. And then the demon gets killed immediately. And then they never talk about him again. So that part, I was like, what?
That's one of the reasons why I'm really hoping they're going to do a sequel, and like 2 sequels at least.
Definitely seems like they set it up for a sequel for sure. With old baby Moses floating down the river.
Yeah.
If you're not setting up like your sequels and your first movies like nowadays, I don't know what you're doing. So probably yes, that's what they're doing. I still think that just knowing that we finally got something we wanted, that they can easily take it away. So we might not even get a sequel, just because they're like, hey, this was like a proof of concept. We did it. Ta-da! This is it. We're done. I can see them doing that, but I hope they don't. I really hope they don't, because they set a lot of seeds for future stuff, and of course there's a bunch of other side stuff that goes on during the events of all these other wars and whatnot, and we're not going to see those most likely. We're just going to see, the ramifications of this stuff, and and whatnot during the subsequent movies. I think the sequel will be Burning Legion stuff, more demons, and that's where the the pickup stuff. Because I remember Garona, she said something about that Gul'dan saw a demon's face and some flame or whatever.
Right.
And lore-wise, that's probably Manaroth. And they never touched on the whole Manaroth thing. So this demon that he's communing with is supposed to be in the games the demon that offers his blood to them, so they can get power and strong and all this other stuff. The way they either that happened in the movie before the movie, or they found a different way to I guess corrupt the orcs, maybe. Just like how you saw how Gul'dan was doing it, right?
Yeah, I know. He just it's basically he cursed them with it. He didn't actually have to do anything to get it. He was just like, you have this now, forcefully, boom.
Yeah. So instead of drinking blood, they changed into that. But I feel like they could have spun that as if. Actually, no, I don't know how they could have spun. Like but like maybe the demon just did what normal demons do instead of drinking blood. You're just like, hey, dark energies, and thank you, demon guy. I'm praying to, or whatever the fuck, and now I'm gonna give this to everyone. But that's probably we're not going to go into that because it's unimportant, and we're not going to touch on it later in the sequels, and that's where I think is that they can fudge those areas. I do wish they stuck to the blood thing because they feel like that
was pretty
fleshed it out more. It gave more character to it. Oh, see, you were upset about the Duratan death, right? The good orc, how he died.
When he gets killed in the fight, and then everyone's like,
I was upset with how the orcs reacted to the dude cheating. What's his name?
They were reacting because Gul'dan had cheated. Mak'gora.
I was upset. That to me didn't seem to fit the character of the orcs that I saw, that I got. I feel like they should have jumped on him, right? Because they were pretty upset. He cheated. They were pretty mad, and then a couple of them, I guess, kind of bucked up to him, and he like killed them. It was like, who's next? Well, there's like 1,000 of them, so I feel like they all just backed off. That was weird to me.
The thing I noticed, that he did have control, like only on the guys with the blood, obviously. Like, so I feel like he could have literally, hey, you drank the blood, you're kind of screwed. I can literally just red button you and dead.
I didn't know.
Suicide button.
Maybe that's what it was.
Because I've only seen the green ones do that. Like when I guess Duratan and they're fighting in the forest. I guess when like Rona was still stuck in chains or whatever. You saw the orcs get consumed by the fell or whatever. But there was other orcs there, but all the other orcs weren't green, and then those orcs didn't get consumed. So I assume that the second you have that fell in you, you basically become conscripted and you're kind of locked to them for now, and then he can kill you almost instantly.
What else? I didn't like. I thought it was weird. Thinking about it now, we were talking about it before. How fast the half orc chick learned English?
Yeah, Garona,
or the common language.
Had to have been some kind of time lapse.
Show it. Yeah, they didn't show the amount of time that they were actually there.
It seemed like it was short amount of time, even if it had been a few weeks.
What was also strange to me is towards the beginning of the movie, she clearly knows how to speak Draenic, with the blue horned race that was being used as fodder for the Dark Portal. She somehow was able to communicate with them. They're called the Draenei.
Right.
So that was also kind of weird.
Oh, she's supposed to be.
In the movie, they changed it to where she's no longer half Draenei. She's actually half human.
Did they ever actually?
They never
say
said that.
They never said that, dude.
They never said that, dude.
In the movie, the only thing they alluded to her parents is
that she was half breed and that her mother was killed.
I remember them saying she's half
breed.
I don't know if they actually ever said she was half human.
Her mother in the games, I think, was a Draenei, but they did change it here that say that, hey, this is her tusk. Draenei's don't have tusks; they have horns, and they're different things altogether. So they changed her mom in this one, which is okay because it's irrelevant. It's unimportant. And in the games, she was kind of like a forced born, like forced half breed, and then from there she was mind controlled by Gul'dan as a mind slave, and then that's how she basically infiltrates the human base, and then that's how she gets mind controlled and then stabs him. That's how that rolls out. So there's a complete deviation now. She's still a slave, not a mind slave. So now they're giving her more, free will. So technically that is a big difference, but apparently not big enough to where it'll affect where the story's going to play out overall. So just information that you can use. But
speaking of acting, there was one thing that kind of like annoyed me about Lothar. When he is trapped behind the wall that Medivh creates and his son is fighting off Black Hand and he's killed, he just sort of stands there and looks at him like, the portrayal didn't seem like as real to me. He just watched his son get murdered by this beast.
But I feel like he literally tried everything he did.
Yeah, he
reached
reached through a lightning wall.
he was trying to get to his son. Like
I feel like his actions.
He tried everything he could, and once he
And you could see,
realized
in his
that
eyes.
he couldn't get in there,
His eyes were full of
it was kind of
pain.
the soldier part of him that took over. And I like that. Because too many times, a warrior whose son is also a warrior gets killed, and he's like, "Oh no, not death on the battlefield." No.
Exactly.
Like, dude, you knew what this was.
And
I'm
they
not saying
seem like that.
you're not going to be hurt by it, but you're gonna be like, and he gave that portrayal, that warrior's portrayal. Like, okay, I can't get to him. I see what it is. I know he's gonna die. He even gave the guy who killed, what is it, Black Hand? I remember his name. He even gave Black Hand like a look, like, all right, do it, And Black Hand even kind of was like, all
I
right,
love the way
it's gotta happen.
it wasn't some like he was the Black Hand didn't kill him out of like a in your face thing. It was like
Yeah, no, it was
was
like
the
an
death he
honorable
deserved.
exchange. It was like they all knew, like, look, here's what's about to go down. We're
Oh
warriors.
yeah, in that moment,
So
it started with his son and him, and they made eye contact. And just by that alone, like, they're both warriors, like you said. They both know they're going to war, and they both know that this could happen. So I'm glad there wasn't like a break of that
and
understanding.
even before that,
like, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
when his son
No.
had gotten hurt,
I loved it.
and he was having that conversation, he was showing. Now that I think about it, I do like that preemptive conversation they had before that, because his son was like.
Should have had more conversation before. Personally, they should have had more, a little bit more.
Yeah,
One more-
they should have done a lot
one
more
more decent scene
character building in general. But no, he showed concern for his son. When he had got hurt in battle, and his son kind of like told him, was like, I want to do this. I know what I'm doing. We know what this is. And he kind of gave his son a look like, but you're a warrior. It's like, I'm scared for you, but I'm proud of you. Like, he kind of gave him that look too.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when after that is when they end up going to that scene where he dies. So you kind of get a sense that they know what's up.
That does make more sense. I didn't see why they did that now.
I saw Black Hand, like I felt like he was like he saw them making their eye exchange, and like even as a like asshole orc that he is, he's still he's so honor bound, and he understood.
Yeah.
He saw their interaction. He saw, and then he made eye with Lothar, and he's just like, I'm going to do this. War is war, and this is it.
When the wizard, the guardian,
Medivh.
Medivh, when he made that like thunder lightning wall or whatever, I was like up to that point they kind of already foreshadowed that he was changing, that he was being corrupted, but I was still trying to figure out if he was or not. They hadn't really just straight up came out and told you. And when he split that wall, all it did was separate them. So I was still like, whose side is he on? Like, is he saving them? Is he protecting the orcs from the humans or the humans from the orc? I don't know.
I wasn't sure at first. Like I thought like, oh, no, like this is where he's doing the big betrayal thing, because I was.
I thought that was gonna be. I thought that was gonna be the moment where we found out, and then he just separated them, and I was just like, I still don't know.
Yeah.
I was hoping they were going to do that too. I was worried that they might not show Medivh's betrayal and corruption, but they did, thankfully.
So how? Okay, the other mage,
Khadgar.
Khadgar. What? How important was he in the game?
He was very important.
Was
And
it
at the end of Warcraft 2, he is one of the key figures that actually seals the Dark Portal and ends the threat.
Because I know exactly what the dark portal is.
Yeah.
So like at this point,
Is
like,
the dark is the dark portal that big ass green portal that they were coming through? Oh, that is the dark portal.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
It's the green portal. Okay, fine.
Those are
Okay,
just normal
It's a
viewer
portal.
It's a big green portal to the normal viewer.
And, one thing that they didn't show, and I don't think this is supposed to happen yet, I think this actually would happen if they make a sequel, is I think it's Medivh, but I'm not it might have been Gul'dan, somebody casts a spell on Khadgar, and he ages him rapidly to where he's like 24 or 14 or something like that, but he looks like he's 80.
Yeah, that would completely change. I agree. Like that was, I feel like, how would we feel after that? Because like one, spoiler alert, then in the movie they don't burn down the city. The city was supposed to be burned. Stormwind, I think, by the end of the war did actually get burned to the ground, then they moved to a different area, Lordaeron or whatever. So
that was another weird thing with King Lane's death, because that happens right after King Lane is killed.
Yeah, and then that just goes back to like all the changes that they have to do to put in the movie, and like all that stuff just happened at different times. They wanted to have all those events, so they had to fuck with some time.
Oh, right.
You said Khadgar, how important he was.
Mm-hmm.
The start of the movie should have probably had. I don't know why this change was made. I feel like it was very disconnected. Why they did it, I feel like it would have been way better if they did. Originally, he should have been at the start of that movie his apprentice. Now they deviated that, saying that he was, in training to be a guardian with the Kirin Tor. And I think that's basically how it's supposed to be to a degree, but technically he's supposed to be directly under him, trained by him. Every guardian needs to be trained by him.
They didn't show the elves enough.
No, they didn't.
They were literally the second cut and away.
Yeah.
And apparently they ate glow sticks and...
Which is a shame to me, because I'm a huge Blood Elf fan, and those are what become the Blood Elves, so...
I was very off-put by the ears. But like it was a very high fantasy, but I was off-put to the level as if Trent came to work one day with gauges and completely bald, I'd be like, whoa, this takes a minute to adjust to. Like if you're not used to someone's new look, like, I just haven't had. You literally gave me 3 seconds to look at their ears, and
But it was still that was accurate to the game.
oh yeah, no, I completely agree, and I'm glad they did that way. I wouldn't believe it. Like otherwise, I would call.
It's just shocking to see
I would call
in
foul.
live action.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very, very off-putting, but in the best way possible. So
So yeah,
don't get me wrong.
I'm a little disappointed that even the dwarves, like you only really got to see humans and orcs fighting. Oh, another thing I really liked
It's all right.
were the mounts.
Yes.
Was it the griffin
Mm-hmm.
and the wolf?
The
I was-
Griffin was amazing.
Yeah,
Super
the
Oh my
griffin
God.
was kicking ass.
Super
Like,
jealous that they have those mounts and we don't get those mounts that attack someone in game. We need those mounts.
We
So
do,
Blizzard,
man.
they don't do
Blizzard?
anything again?
Blizzard, give us mounted combat, not just the freaking tournament in Northrend, because that's not even relevant anymore. Give us real mounted combat.
Yeah, dude, that griffin was bad. The wolf was badass too. Like those were good scenes. Whenever the animals were fighting,
Mhm.
that was cool as shit. And again, the animation on them was great, good detail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I like to see. I kind of want to just see a movie about the griffin.
I liked whenever he was reacting with the griffin. He grabbed his beak when it was
Yeah, like you can
He's
see
like, hey,
that.
quit that. I was like, ah, it's so cool.
They kind of remind me
They're
of
still wild animals.
the hippo.
The
Hippogriff in
yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Very similar, obviously.
Buck beak.
But that gets me thinking about the actual character development. I think it lacked character development,
It did.
but it had a
Yeah.
lot of character depth. So
It
I
sort of felt
I
like
cared about the characters, but not because I knew about them, just because that they were just such good characters. I actually was invested in them.
it sort of felt like they kind of relied on the audience to know, like, oh, okay, Khadgar is like this, Anduin Lothar is like this, and they spend a little bit of time explaining how the characters are for people that aren't used to the movie, and then you just see those characters do cool things. You don't see them change,
Yeah.
you don't see them really develop, but you just see them do cool shit.
All in all, though, I think it was a good choice because if this movie had been overwrought with exposition, I think it would have
Yes.
ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
It
I
really
think
would have.
that the story is something that's already been well established, and this is what a lot of video game adaptations get wrong, is that they try to retell the story again. We know the story. We're seeing the movie because we know the story. We just want to see it in live action. You don't have to explain every little part, and they got that when they were making this movie. So
That's
I
right.
think that was a good thing.
I simply just wanted to come and experience the world. I mean, that's all I really came for, was just to re-experience the world in a way I haven't experienced it before, and it just came to life for the most part. Other than the fact that back on the CGI, it was amazing, it was gorgeous. Best CGI I've seen in freaking wild, but putting it next to anything that was a practical effect did pull me out of it a little bit because it was just like felt rubber to a degree. But when everything was moving and action was going, I didn't care. It blurred away and it got fudged and it didn't really care. The interesting with Duratan, like the whole romp in the bed, just like you're fat.
I love that scene so much.
That's fine. That stuff can happen to anybody else, but. Like his reactions and maybe how it just felt very, very CGI at that point in time, and
I liked it. I don't know. I was pretty impressed with the CGI, but I'm easy to impress with stuff like that.
I am too, really. But it did look excellent.
It was spot on.
I feel like the orcs.
I still get an A+.
I feel like the orcs at times seem a little bit more human than the humans do, because there's not a shit ton of moments with the humans where they're just bonding, they're just laughing at each other, like what he was talking about in the beginning scene with Duratan and Draka, when I forget the actual words, but Duratan says something along the lines of like, "How are they gonna fit that fat belly you have?" And she's pregnant at the time, and Draka just kind of stares at him awkwardly and then punches him in the shoulder, and she goes, "Well, I guess the same way they're gonna fit that fat head of yours," and then they just laugh and lay on the bed together. It's nice.
So we gotta wrap this up, but the last thing that I want to bring up is the violence. There were no holds barred for that.
Yes.
There were orcs literally smashing humans' heads and snapping their necks with their fingers.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, they could have gone very safe and I guess do what a lot of movies like this do and fudge the deaths a bit, or we see someone with a bunch of crazy blades and swords, but you never see them stab anybody, or you see them knock someone aside.
That was not the case. They were murdering folks.
Yep, straight up, it was honest.
They were killing.
They were honest about everything they were doing. You saw someone get their head cut off. You saw it straight up. You
saw someone get their head squashed into the
actually,
ground like a grape with the chest, and then Lothar decapitated
I felt sorry for that one slave that.
And that was getting like his soul drained out by Gul'dan.
That poor guy. I feel so
scene
bad
sold
for
it
him.
down
He was just like, no,
brutal.
please not. No, not again.
Pretty much just watch Gul'dan use drain life on somebody.
It just
was great.
It looks like it hurt, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
If I had like anything to sum up this movie, it would be.
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely.
So on that note, if ratings or reviews become a thing that I do on my channel in the future, I'm not going to use a number system. I'm going to use go see it in theaters, rent it, buy it, whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think this is something that is worth seeing in theaters?
It's worth seeing
At
it
least
IMAX
twice.
3D.
It's worth spending
Yes.
$17 on IMAX.
Definitely. And then buy it when it comes out.
I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was money well spent. I had fun with that movie. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you don't know anything about the game, go see it.
Just do it.
Do it!
Wow.
Giving
Alright.
off the. God dang it. We're doing things, Justin.
Yeah, there wasn't.
That's Scorpion.
I didn't.